Wow. So, thank you for having me up here. It's great. So, you saw the video, right? I came up here a couple of years ago, and it looked like a quiet little rustic airport. And, you know, we went through town and everything. And the people I was with, they talked to some of the people in town, and some of them didn't know there was an airport here. I thought that was kind of like Compton. I'm at the airport in Compton. There's no airport in Compton. So I'm watching what Laureano's doing, and I'm looking at his education center, and then he started talking about these things that he's got going, all these collaborations he's got going, all these partnerships with Embry-Riddle, with the colleges, with all this stuff that he's got going where he's working with other people. And it's so strange. Other people have resources, and when you partner with them, they let you use their stuff. So I'm like, okay. So I went back to Compton, and I said, this Laureano guy is pretty smart. So instead of working as hard as I do, why don't I try working smarter? So taking note of what Laureano did, taking note of his idea for, getting all the resources to work together to bring education and really spearhead and preach education, I said, okay. So I'm a good listener. My museum was started because some Tuskegee Airmen told me they wanted to not have their legacy forgotten. They wanted to go out and if there was a way to get kids involved in aviation, it's a natural alternative. If a kid's flying an airplane, it makes sense for them to not want to do drugs, not want to hang out with the gangsters and all that stuff. So I said, all right, cool, all right. So just in the last 2 years, this is where we're at now. I have a meeting with Orange Coast College and Cypress College at the end of this month because we're expanding. The museum right now is at a tipping point. We're taking the college curriculum, we're infusing our curriculum in it, we're getting it approved through the state of California so kids can actually get high school and college credits concurrently with an articulation agreement with the college. We partner with industry, Boeing, SpaceX, a lot of companies, and we get them to go to the classroom and start teaching our curriculum during the school day. The problem that all schools have, all schools across the country have the same problem. They're teaching from curriculum that was approved 10, 20, 30 years ago, and they're teaching technology that was relevant 10, 20, 15 years ago. Now, 10 years ago, my phone couldn't play a video. They didn't have this little iPhone thingy that does what iPhones do now. Androids did not do what they did now. Look at how much technology has advanced just in the last 10 years. And they're still teaching technology from 10, 20, 15 years ago. So the school district has embraced this idea. Partnering with the school district to get the program taught during the school day, getting today's professional to come into the classroom and teach the current curriculum is now a formula that the museum can spread literally across the country. So what's in the near future? Well, this summer our curriculum will be approved. We'll start teaching in the Compton Unified School District. By next summer, we'll start doing the same process with the LA Unified School District, Torrance, Long Beach, Linwood School District. By, I'd say, a year and a half to 2 years, you might see Tomorrow's Aeronautical Museums program partnering with this facility and teaching in this school district here. We have kids that start flying at our school when they're 8 years old. By the time they get to be 12, 14, they're nasty pilots. They can outfly almost any adult here. A little 12, 14-year-old kid. I was at the Hawthorne Airport the other day, just did a flight, and an airplane landed. It was a King Air 350, and the kid gets out of the airplane, and I'm going to fly some sightseeing flights, and he's like, "Hey, Robin, how you doing?" And he started walking over to me, and the people are like, "Oh, is that your little brother?" I'm like, "No, just because we're black doesn't mean we're all related." So, he came to my program. What program is that? Like, I got an after-school program. He started coming there when he was 12 years old. Oh, so does he know the pilot of that airplane? I'm like, he is the pilot of that airplane. He's a first officer. And the people were looking at me like, shut your mouth. And I said, no. And the kid came over to me and we started talking about this little friendly competition that we're going to do. He's going to turn 23 next month. His friend, good friend, is also 22. He's going to turn 23 in September. So the competition is, this kid is a first officer in a King Air 350, and he's going to get his ATP so he can be a captain at 23 years old, just so he can beat his friend and be the youngest ATP captain in history. I'm like, and these are kids coming out of Compton. So I come up here and I'm looking at, every day I see this big expansion, partnering. We've got a program going on with Washington, D.C. We've got all this stuff going on. We're about to explode like crazy. And I keep thinking, when Laureano said what he was doing here, I said, oh man, because you've been on my mind like crazy. It's almost like maybe he is psychic or something. You gotta be careful what you think. And if you, well, I'm just saying, because all of a sudden I'm here and I'm going, wow. And I came up here and I look around the airport last night and I'm like, this is no longer a sleepy little airport. In town last night, we were talking to some people while Laureano tried to kill me and kept me out too late. And I was like, wow, everybody knew about the airport. Just in the last 2 years, there's been such an attitude change up here. It's been amazing. Just looking at the council people, Mayor Pro Tem, the government officials that are here, it's a partnership. So what I'm getting to is this location, what you guys are doing here, everything I've done in Compton, the Ebony Power 100, now the CNN Heroes, I'm supposed to be a CNN hero. They're going to film it next month, right? All that is nothing compared to the potential that you have here. I look at this facility, what I saw before, that was nice, busting at the seams. I look at this and I'm like, Laureano, don't give him lemons. He's not going to make lemonade. He's going to make some fancy French drink that you're going to be like, what? I mean, the guy he works miracles. And, we're driving into the airport, and I'm looking at our expansion, and I'm seeing, when we're coming down, there's this big open field over here?
Right, that's part of the airport property, just like this.
Okay, so I'm driving in, I see all this stuff, and I'm going, the museum in Compton and all of California, they're switching to academy model schools. The traditional learning platform, it turns out, is not as effective as it could be. Compton's graduation rate is 57%. You go to high school, you stand a 57% chance of graduating, right? So they're switching to the academy model because the school district comes down to my place and they notice 97% of the kids that go through my program graduate from high school. So they're thinking, if you're teaching during a school and the kids see and understand the why they need to learn, and they see these lofty goals like being an astronaut, we're training kids to be astronauts, being an engineer, being a pilot, they see those things, then they don't fight the learning process. So in California, a lot of schools are switching to academy models, and they're looking at the museum like an academy. And I look at my facility and what we've got in Compton, and I look here, and I'm like, Laureano, you could build a facility here that it would be like Smithsonian Museum class, right? You could have classrooms, laboratories, you could have an education center unlike anything that I could ever do, right? And I'm looking at this thing going, Laureano, and he told me about, what's going on here, and I'm thinking maybe like 10, 15 people would show up. And I walk in here and I'm like, holy cow, you've got support. You've got a team behind you, which, down in Compton, it's kind of like a one-man show. I just make it happen anyways. Look at how much further you're starting up that ladder to success than I was. So if I've done all these things, where CNN's considering me a hero, can you imagine what's in store for this guy? He told me about the Spirit Award. told me about the Spirit Award, and it's kind of cool because Laureano is funny. He goes around and he's looking at the Spirit Award and says, yeah, you know, I was so surprised I got awarded the Spirit Award and all this stuff. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, you know, they gave the award to you, but it's your team that got that. You got so much support, and this is like, that award is everybody's celebration up here. I was like, wow, that's cool. And I'm thinking, man, you know, academies, everybody's jumping all over that. It's gonna come here, right? Because if a kid says, well, you know, I'm thinking about being a nurse, this is in, you know, elementary school, then you go to middle school, and then you go to the high school academy that's geared towards the medical field. If you're thinking, man, those things that fly are kind of cool, then you say, well, you know, there's 2 high schools in this town. One of them is geared towards engineering and aerospace. I'm going to go to that one. So that way you stay in an area that you're interested in. And if you stay in an area that you're interested in, you just suck up that knowledge. So I'm like, man, you just have so much potential here. And with a little bit of support, because I run a nonprofit, so I know what it's like, you know. We set this world record. Every news market in the LA and the country was there filming this stuff, and I'm sitting there and I'm worried about how am I going to pay that light bill, you know. It's a cold hard fact. In order to make things work, it costs money. I tell kids, I have this quiz I do. Okay, I'm gonna ask you. Do you know what makes an airplane fly?
Money.
I had to go and ask a pilot that, right? It's like, money. No, you're right. But man, with the small investment, look at it, even here. Laureano, okay, you got your academy over here. You partner up with Portland Community College. That's who gave me this. Michael, where are you? Here. Michael? Okay, you partner up with Portland Community College. He's recruiting them down there. You got your academy there. You've got flight facility, historic artifacts, and you got flight facility, science lab, science center, aerospace center, maintenance facility. This would be like a whole complex. And now here's how it works cool. Instead of having one place that's doing its best to educate and inspire youth, you now have a whole airport here. Oh, this guy, cool, volunteer. Okay, why don't you come on up here? Okay, come on up here. All right, now, this is very important for all you little kids and all you big kids too. Okay, now, to be a pilot, you have to have really good powers of observations. Now, what are powers of observations? You use your 5 senses, right? You got eyes, mouth, you can talk, taste, smell, touch, right? Okay, so they tell me that the kids in this area have the most acute and most amazing powers of observation. So I would like to test that theory, okay? All right, ready? Okay, now. Okay, ready? Okay. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Okay, what just happened? Come on, what just happened? The big kid said he's got a big smile. No, what just happened? Gave him $20? Oh, come on, what just happened? Captured his attention? Okay, I'm gonna tell you what just happened. What just happened is something that's gonna happen to each and every one of you every day for the rest of your life. Every day, you're gonna meet somebody that has something that you want or need. And they're prepared to give it to you if you seize that opportunity, if you're qualified to get that opportunity. Sometimes being disqualified is as simple as showing up. If you did not come here today, would you have gotten that opportunity? Okay. Sometimes being prepared and qualified to seize that opportunity is as simple as participating. If you did not raise your hand, would you gotten that $20? No. right here, you have an opportunity, all of you, to do something phenomenal, to do something bigger than I could ever do. All the accolades that you see, what you have the potential to do is, I'm talking Nobel Peace Prize level. You guys could build an education complex that could just dwarf. This would be a model place. The rest of the country would say, you know how you get people to stop complaining about the noise that airports make? You send all your kids to the airport. Thank you, sir. You can have a seat. You have the power to do something phenomenal here, and all it takes is a little support. I'm telling you, that guy is an Energizer bunny. He kept me up. He went home and got about 5 to 20 minutes of sleep, and he was back here this morning while it was still dark, moving planes and doing stuff. And the guy's just amazing. Yeah, the council person, she knows. Oh, and I feel sorry for some of you guys. You're like, yeah, we wound up just saying hi to Laureano. Next thing we know, my airplane's filled with kids and I'm flying them around. I'm like, and that's what you need. You've got, you got a guy. I mean, you hear some people talking about, maybe he's kind of an underdog. He's fighting the fighter. But you look at this guy. That's what America's about. We like the underdog. We like, the best way to get somebody else mad is to be successful. You want anybody that's had anything negative ever to say about it, you want to get them? Build this facility. Make this complex work. Make this the shining spot, the example of community education. It takes a village to raise a family, and you've got a wonderful village. So thank you for having me here. I don't want to talk too much because I'll go on for another 2 days if you let me. And good job, man. That's what it's about. Participate and you will be rewarded. So thank you very much for having me.
All right, players, isn't that great or what?